Glasses. It's not gonna be this.
Oh, good.
No, that's mine.
Ron gets them. Okay. Now we'll go.
This meeting of the Rolling Meadows City Council is hereby called to order. Would everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Cannon.
Here.
Prana.
Here.
Majikis. Here. Judd. DeAnger.
Here.
Diastis.
Present.
Veenbos.
Present.
With 7 present and none absent, there is a quorum present this evening. Therefore, members of the audience are reminded that these proceedings are being videotaped for current and future broadcast over the city's cable television channel. The first item on the agenda this evening is a motion to approve the minutes of the last council meeting on August 11th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Veenbos has made the motion and it has been seconded. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the question is, shall the minutes be adopted? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and those minutes are approved. Under the reports this evening for the mayor's report, I was one of a number of us who were at the Gallagher groundbreaking earlier today, and so I'll let some others talk about it because it was a very nice event. And because that would make my mayor's report even a little bit longer, because I only have one item, but it's a tiny bit complicated. We often communicate our concerns through our state representative and state senator, and sometimes concerns come back the other way, making communication a two-way street. And so I was contacted by State Representative Tom Morrison, who represents almost all of us, and he said, as a reminder maybe to folks who are in town, the FAA is still taking public comments through their website regarding the configuration of runways at O'Hare. And the reason why he was bringing it to our attention is because it is correct. Our neighbor Palatine is already taking this action, that with the recent reconfiguration, I believe it's safe to say that Rolling Meadows is kind of a recipient of the benefits of that reconfiguration. Back when I was a fairly fresh alderman on this council, we used to get all kinds of calls about the airplane noise, and a lot of those calls went away when the new configuration happened because we're not such a direct path anymore. And of course, I'm sure everybody knows from reading the newspaper that the folks who unfortunately are in the new path have registered numerous complaints, which are perfectly valid. We know that because we used to live them. Well, the FAA is taking comments from all concerned parties. And so Representative Morrison pointed out, and the Village of Palatine pointed out, if all they hear from is the people who say, we don't like these, well, then that's all they hear. So it's a little too late for the newsletter deadline, but we've been asked if we're interested in making our concerns known to the FAA, saying that, well, kind of from our perspective, it's been a good change for us that might be helpful feedback that they might need as they go through the process. So I'm passing along that bit of advice, that if anybody goes to the FAA's website, it's not too hard to find how to do it. The Chicago Tribune has printed more than one article where they give the link and so forth and so on. If anybody would like to comment on the new runway configuration to the FAA in terms of positive comments on how it's impacted them, that window is only open for, I believe, a little less than 2 weeks now. So you might want to jump online and get that done. So that's the single item, rather long, that I have on the mayor's report. Are there other ward reports this evening? Mrs. Majikis of the 3rd Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just follow up on yours, the Gallagher groundbreaking. That was my first one. Very enjoyable. Great to see everybody there, and I think Gallagher did a great job, and I'm excited to see what they do to the building and the outcome and how it beautifies the area. So just wanted to say it was a very nice gathering.
Then if I might add, in case anybody might be a tiny bit misinterpreting there, when Alderman Majikis says this is her first of the groundbreakings, it is not by any stretch of the imagination the first of the events that she attends.
Correct.
I think the implied message from her statement is that this was a groundbreaking, meaning shovels and hard hats. And it is true, we don't have those nearly as often as the ribbon cutting. But as a member of the Economic Development Committee, Alderman Majikis and Alderman Diastis are both very good at coming out to these kinds of things. I know that I often see Mr. Cannon there, I see Mr. Prana there, I see Mr. Banger there, and at the Gallagher thing, even Mr. Judd and Mr. Veenbos were there as well. And so I hope nobody goes, what? She's been on the council for how long and has only been to one? No. This is the only groundbreaking we've had. We've had lots of ribbon cuttings at which many of us participate. So I just didn't want to leave that misinterpreted, that's all.
Thank you for the clarification, yes.
And thank you to everybody on the council every time they attend. Are there further ward reports this evening? Then seeing none, the council can proceed straight to its business because there are no signatories on the sign-in sheet this evening. Therefore, item A on the agenda will be next. This ordinance, if adopted, would approve the application for a Class A1 liquor... Oh, excuse me. Why am I doing that? Because we have an unusual occurrence. The council members and the audience might remember there were no ordinances in for first reading last time. That means by habit, I started reading the ones that are for second reading, and there may not be a need to, because since there are no ordinances in for second reading, we have the opportunity to ask for our consent agenda first. Therefore, there's no need to read items A, B, or C unless they are pulled from the consent agenda for first readings. Would any alderman like items A, B, or C removed from the consent agenda? Then, seeing none, it would be in order for a motion to approve all three ordinances on first reading in one motion.
So
Mr.
moved, Mr.
Diastis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. The question is, shall all three ordinances be moved forward by the clerk for second reading? Ordinance A would approve an application for an A1 liquor license for the new owner of the Meadows Club located at 2950 Gulf Road. Item B would approve an application for an A2 liquor license for a new restaurant at 2122 Plum Grove Road. And Ordinance C would amend Chapter 22, the businesses section of the City Code dealing with hotel records and how they must be kept. Again, the question is, shall all three ordinances be moved forward for second reading? The clerk will please call the roll.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, the clerk will please move all three of those items forward for second reading. That brings the council then to item D, the warrant, the document which releases all the all the funds for the obligations of the city incurred from June 5th through the 18th. The amount for approval is just over $1 million, roughly 60% of which is related to the payroll. And of course, that should say August 5th through the 18th. Is there a motion to approve the warrant as prepared by the Finance Department? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the warrant be approved? The clerk will please call the roll.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, the warrant is approved. That brings the council speedily to the consent agenda for resolutions. There are 4 items on the consent agenda for resolutions, items E through H. Would any alderman like any of those items removed from the consent agenda for resolutions? Seeing none, it would then be in order for a motion to approve all 4 resolutions in one vote. Mr. Cannon has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, then it would be in order for a motion to adopt all 4 resolutions. Is there a motion to adopt all 4 resolutions? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and it has been seconded. The question is, shall all 4 resolutions be adopted? Item E would award a contract for engineering services for the construction going on at Lift Station Number 1 to replace a force main, and this is Phase 1 of that project. Item F would award a contract for the construction of a replacement sanitary sewer. Again, it's a force main pipe, also part of the Lift Station 1 project. Item G would award a contract for providing professional services for the development of the City of Rolling Meadows' ADA transition plan. And finally, item H would approve grant funding for street lighting. The question is, shall all 4 resolutions be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Judd?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon? Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, all 4 of the resolutions are adopted. There are no appointments nor proclamations this evening. Does the city clerk have a report?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Then, Mr. Krumstock, we're careening into your field of expertise here with the community items of interest. The floor is yours, sir.
And we're going to slow it down. Obviously, we have a few items that are to add on too, but the first item that we do want to mention is that school is open, so please drive carefully. The second part that we do want to mention is that this Saturday, that's Saturday, August 29th, from noon to 1 p.m., the Celebrate 60 Committee, the City of Rolling Meadows and the Rolling Meadows Park District will be sponsoring an ice cream social at Waverly Park, that's 2202 Oak Lane, and please meet by the playground. You'll see, obviously, a truck. It's called Brain Freeze Ice Cream Truck, and as we have supplies, we will be distributing ice cream treats at that point in time. And again, it is this Saturday for a very limited time as quantities, but noon to 1 p.m. If you missed the Saturday, August 22nd Farmer and Food Truck, the last one for 2015 is scheduled for Saturday, September 26th, and again, it is here at City Hall between 10 and 2 p.m. The Meadows Cruise Nights are back and they are winding down. The last one for the season, or all the Friday at night events, is Friday, September 4th. So again, a very limited time that we have left for the cruise nights, and that goes at Meadows Christian Fellowship at 2401 Kirchhoff Road. Obviously, this is the last meeting that we have before Labor Day, so we do have to mention that City Hall and Public Works will be closed on Monday, September 7th in observance of Labor Day. There will be no refuse collection on that Monday. However, refuse collection will be delayed one day for that entire week. We wish everybody a safe and happy Labor Day weekend. Obviously, new from the Park District is they're having a run called Roll in the Meadows 5K. The last day to register for this 5K is set for Sunday or Tuesday, September 8th. The actual run is bright and early, 8 a.m. on Sunday, September 13th. If you'd like additional information on the run, please contact the Park District at 847-818-3200. And then also on Saturday, September 12th, the Police Department will be doing, again, they tried this once before, and it was at Starbucks. This time we are doing Coffee with a Cop at the Mug Coffee that's located at 1450 Gulf Road. Some people will remember that as Coffee Planet, and they will be doing this Coffee with the Cop from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And again, that is Saturday, September 12th. And it's really open to residents, businesses, friends of the city. Just come and join the police department. There's a free cup of coffee, and there's casual conversation. There is no agenda to this. Ask away on any questions that you have of an officer, a concern that you might have, or anything else that will be out there. Now, I did mention September 26th is going to be the last Farmers and Food Market. Also on that day, Saturday, September 26th, the Rolling Meadows Police Department and the DEA will be sponsoring a national prescription drug take-back event, and that will actually be from 10 to 2, but that will be at the old Public Works Building, 3200 Central Road. And again, if you missed any of our past ones, it's a great opportunity for anybody to bring any kinds of unwanted, unused prescription drugs, pills. There are no sharps or liquids allowed at this, but it's a great way to get rid of your medication in a controlled environment, a correct environment, not dumping it down the sewers or anything like that. But again, if you want additional information on that, please contact Commander Tom Kondomsky on that one too. Before I go to the add-ons, which are not on the sheet, because it is the last meeting of the month, we do mention for September the committee meetings that are potential or coming up. Economic development, due to a lack of items, we will not be meeting for September. For the Plan Commission, they will be meeting Tuesday, September 1st at 7:30 p.m. There were 3 public hearings that are set for that, a text amendment to the Comprehensive Zoning Code allowing a dance studio, and a special use permit within the M1 Manufacturing District. Kelly Pfeiffer is the petitioner. A special use permit is the second one. Application to allow the dance studio at 3891 Industrial Avenue. Again, the petitioner is Kelly Pfeiffer. And again, this is in the M1 Manufacturing District, and that's why it is at the Plan Commission. And then the final item for that Plan Commission meeting is a plan development amendment to the special use permit application to allow additional fence outdoor storage at 3850 Industrial. And the petitioner on this one is Tom Van Dieren of Norman Mechanical, and that is also in the M1 Manufacturing District. The next night, Wednesday, September 2nd at 7:30 p.m., we will be having a zoning board meeting. There is one request for the zoning board. It's a variation request to allow a fence beyond the building line at 2727 Castle Lane. The petitioner is Shehan M. Jarstrom. Obviously, there are a few that I mentioned that I do need to add. Some time ago, the Troop 168 was going to do a flag retirement. There was a storm, big storm, lots of water. So it was actually canceled. So the rescheduled Troop 168 flag retirement is now set for Monday, September 14th. It will be at 7 p.m. again, and it is at the Kimball Hill Park. And all are welcome to come. If you have some flags that need to be retired properly, please come to City Hall, drop them off, and we'll make sure that they actually get to the event. The other item that I do want to mention is that we've been seeing through the water department and through numerous residents is that we've been having, I don't want to call them vandals, I don't want to call them really hoodlums, but we've been having a lot of individuals turning on faucets on the outside of the house and then running water and then running away. So what we do is just ask people, just watch your hoses, watch your water outside, and it's one of those kind of things that we just want people to be aware of, that we've had a few of these in the area. It is water, obviously, that does run. Maybe you don't hear it, but just be aware of it. And we do want everybody to know that this has been happening throughout the area. With that, that's the item of interest.
Then the next item under staff reports is the new businesses list. Also, Mr. Crumstock.
Really just 7, and there's really nothing too notable on any of those, so.
Or perhaps all equally notable, yes? Then the next item would be the staff traffic advisory report. Mr. Vogt.
Thank you, Mayor. The traffic committee met last week, and of the items that were discussed, we'll highlight those that we think are of interest. Be aware that in the vicinity of Carl Sandburg Junior High and Plum Grove Junior High, the upcoming weeks, the Public Works crews will be installing new signs, replacing some signs, just to get them all in conformance with what current standards require. On Vermont Street, we had a request to look at the no parking signage. We, in looking at it, felt that there perhaps could be a little bit of enhancement to the visibility by adding a few signs on the side of the street that's restrictive, and staff will be doing that from Public Works. Public Works will also be working, has already started working on Central Road. It was brought to our attention that the whole length of the high school and for a block or two on each east and west of that, there's been some parking signs either missing or had never been installed, and there was some motorist confusion with regards to where one can park and not park. So those additional signage needs are being taken care of this week. Hopefully get those done before school officially opens. Also got a request from a local church that actually shares a building with another church for directional signage, typically the blue signs that are installed on the main roads. We've got a number of them, and because we've got a number of them in the same location in some places, we're going to look at developing new standards for that so that we can provide that without having too many signs up there at each particular corner. Lastly, had a request to look at the school zone crossing and safety concerns at the Kirchhoff-Oriole intersection. The committee had some discussion on that in terms of a couple of observations with what the problems are there. One of them is the striping that is faded, that is scheduled later this year yet as routine for additional painting and thermoplastic there, but there may be some other improvements that can be considered, and the committee plans to talk about this further at the September meeting. So that is the report for the month of August.
Then the next item under staff reports would be the purchase order disclosures over 2,500. I believe there's 4 or 5, something like that, Ms. Gallagher?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there are 5 for review and just various replacement and supply items for review.
Then we'll stay with Ms. Gallagher for the final item under city staff reports, the distribution of the 2016 proposed budget.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in the packet tonight, we have a staff report for the 2016 proposed budget. In that report, it does mention that we've now loaded that on the city's website. It's also loaded on all of the laptops for city council. And a copy is at the library as usual for public review as well. Within that proposed document, there's a lot of information. We have an executive summary and a lot of charts, graphs, and things like that. But we also have the budget planning calendar, which does show key dates. One of the first key dates is our first budget discussion, which takes place at the September 15th Committee of the Whole meeting. And that will be the first kickoff meeting to the budget discussion for City Council. And we're now also getting, with the city manager and myself, meetings set up, one-on-one meetings with City Council members. And then just a couple other notes as far as the calendar. Our first public hearing on the property tax levy takes place September 22nd. And publications go out in the local newspaper for that as well. And then there'll be a public hearing for the actual budget itself for the public, and that will take place at a later date as well. All those are outlined in the calendar. And a couple of other noteworthy items is that if you do wish to have a paper copy, we're more than happy to make a copy for any city council person or even the public if they really needed one. But everything is out there online as well, and this really kicks off in advance, so you have several weeks to begin the review process. So.
Then that concludes the staff reports portion for this evening. Are there matters not on the agenda? Mr. Prana.
There are 2 items, Mr. Mayor. First off, Alderman Majikis brought up the fact that if you're having work done, please make sure you connect with our community development department. I did have some residents who had a roofing contractor come in, basic Rolling Meadows, 3-bedroom home, one of those that I lived in as when we first came to Meadows and then we moved around. It was $20,000 for the first bid. It was $15,000 when they walked out the door, and it got down to $10,000 by the time they got to the driveway. So I'll follow up with Valerie, but please make sure they have permits and make sure that you've talked to Valerie if you're having anything done. Second, Mr. Mayor, I've had a couple residents, you've heard of Christmas in August. They would like to know if we could extend our Christmas lights when we do the lighting in December down Kirchhoff Road. So if staff could just put that in the corner somewhere, and we'll talk about it later, but they'd like to know if we could go lights all the way from one end to the other. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I guess it's better early than late. Further matters not on the agenda this evening. Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I was looking through the warrants the other day, a couple of things occurred to me. And I was wondering if I could make a request of staff in the next couple of months relative to our foundation. I'm a little bit confused as to what our foundation is responsible for and not responsible for, especially when it comes to bills. I was under the impression that some of the things that were happening at the museum were going to be under that umbrella. And I'm not saying I'm right, that's the impression I had. So I guess in light of the fact that we don't really have a resident actually running that group, and it's actually kind of an arm of us now, I think it would be reasonable for us to expect to see how that money's being spent also. I mean, since there's really no oversight on it from an outside person looking at it. So I guess I'd like to have a little bit of knowledge as to what we're paying for and not paying for, and what's included under the foundation umbrella. It doesn't have to be done tomorrow, but maybe before the end of the year. I think it would be nice for all of us to understand, you know, we have a lot of generous businesses and individuals who have given money to that group, and I think they would like to see how their money is being spent also. Thanks.
It's a perfectly legitimate request. I believe you are correct that I forget if it's technically 3rd or 4th on the list, but on the general list of priorities that was set by the council, if we've been able to fully fund the 4th of July and fully fund Memorial Day, I believe next on the list, or next at the latest, are supposed to be items for the museum. That is correct. And so, Mr. Krumstock, do you think maybe some form of staff report sometime soonish at Mr. Cannon's request? It doesn't need to be at the very next council meeting, but something that you could do?
Yep.
Mr. Cannon, is that
Wonderful.
satisfactory?
That's great.
Excuse me. Are there other matters not on the agenda this evening? And seeing none, it is in order for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Diastis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and we are adjourned.